This episode of Inside EMS podcast is sponsored by LogRx. Learn a better way to track your narcotics at logrx.com.
Well, guess what time it is? It is time to go inside EMS. There's no guess. We know what time it is. You hit the play button. You know exactly what's going on. We are going inside EMS. It's the Chris and Kelly show, or as Kelly likes to say, the Kelly and Chris show, but he knows that he's wrong.
The way it should be.
And here he is, my friend, the one we call Kelly Grayson. Kelly Grayson, KG, what's going on?
Oh, man, saving lives, stamping out disease and pestilence. I was back on an ambulance this weekend, so.
Yeah, how was that for you? Did you find out you missed it, or you're still?
Oh man, I like working on an ambulance. Always have. Sometimes I don't like the people I work for, and sometimes I don't like the people I work with. But the people I work on, that's why I go back and do it. But this small little agency I'm working for, and they're trying to build something that wasn't there before the health system bought them out. So we're doing good, and it's mainly they do interfacility transfers, but they also catch 911s, and that's basically all I did the other day is 911 calls, including a pretty gnarly case. I can't really talk about, but it was pretty challenging.
So why'd you bring it up if you can't talk about it?
Well, HIPAA, the HIPAA hippo will be trampling me down. So
here's one of the things. So
everyone knows where I live, knows where I work. It's pretty easy to pin down.
There's like 14 people in the town.
Yeah.
So, and I will tell you this though. So I am doing some work with a new company called Quick Medic, head of operations, and my new gig. But we're actually moving into Rochester, Buffalo, Syracuse, Binghamton.
Not far.
But I looked at Potsdam. You are way north, man.
I'm way north of Potsdam. I'm 30 miles north of Potsdam.
Oh, really? Man,
yeah,
I was like, man, he's almost speaking Canadian.
Pull out of my driveway, take a left, drive 400 yards, take a right, and 3 minutes later, you're on the St. Lawrence River looking at the bridge to Canada. So I am about 5 minutes from Canada.
Craziness. You were up there, man. No wonder you have a little French accent going
on. That's
right.
It's a beauty, eh?
It is. But Kelly, one of the things that, we talk about a lot is, situational awareness. And it's something that is really a focus that we need to pay attention to. And our colleague, hopefully I don't kill her name, Carly DeMonin. Is that how you would say that? You're good with names, more with last names than I am, Kelly.
I'm pretty brutal with names as well. Yeah, so, I think that's correct.
But if we're wrong, Carly, please forgive us.
No, I think you did it. You, for once, you didn't butcher a pronunciation.
How about that?
You didn't put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
There you go, man. But we were inspired by your article, and we're going to put it in the show notes for you guys to check out. And we think about EMS and we think about how we go about our business. And there are levels of self-awareness. And, we talk about keep your head on a swivel. And I've used that for a lot of years because we have gotten complacent on scenes. I think that paramedics are great at ensuring the scene is safe. I think paramedics and EMTs are poor in maintaining scene safety.
Yeah.
And once we say the scene is safe because it's universal precaution scene safety, we forget about what's going on. We're on a highway. We got cars zipping around us at 70 miles an hour. We're in somebody's home. We're in the community where there's been an assault and things are starting to, go south very, very quickly. I mean, we can just count the calls and the numbers of challenges that we've had in our careers that have put us in situations that we probably shouldn't have stayed in. And there are levels of self-awareness, and we're going to talk about those levels of self-awareness. Various ways to describe these levels are what's known as Cooper's colors, and there's situational awareness, tuned out, relaxed awareness, focused awareness, high alert, and comatose, which I think is very, very interesting, but it's a psychological component of that. But Kelly, when we think about tuned out, I think that from the bravado of EMS, I think that that's where we find a lot of our focus sometimes. And it's the first level is when someone is not paying attention to what is happening around them. It's similar to when someone is driving in a familiar environment, they're listening to their favorite song, and then all of a sudden
Uh-huh.
you have highway hypnosis or whatever they want to call that, right? You miss the
Mm-hmm.
exit and you're like, what the
Little
heck was that?
white line hypnosis.
Exactly. So, but now when we think about being tuned out, I mean, is it just because we're complacent? Is it because we're comfortable? Is it because we don't have that sense of situational awareness? I mean, what do you put this up to?
I think a good deal of it is complacency. I keep telling my students what kind of scenes get EMTs killed, and they'll always say, this or that type of interpersonal violence or shootings, and those don't get EMTs killed. And I say something that shocks them until they think about it. I said, safe scenes are what get EMTs killed because we don't go into unsafe scenes. We stage outside until the men in blue with badges and firearms show up to make it safe for us to enter. It's the scene that we set our scene safe BSI, did our jazz hands like it was some kind of talisman to ward off evil. We didn't maintain situational awareness during the call and something went south. It's the call that you're in that you initially deemed safe that's the one that gets you killed because you don't see it coming. And I think to a large extent it is complacency. It is hard. And Cooper pointed this out in when he originally came up with the color code of situational awareness, or the color code of the combat mindset, that it's hard to stay on high alert all the time. It's mentally draining. And your life kind of sucks if you're always in condition orange, and hyper aware of everyone around you. I think on the other end of the scale, condition white is a place you never ever want to be unless you're sleeping in a locked house. But yeah, I think we get a little lazy. I think Chris, when you're driving to work or you're driving around a route you've taken a million times before, fess up. You zone out a little bit. You're
Yeah, I mean,
listening to
that's
the radio. You're not necessarily paying attention to everything that's going
right.
on
And
around you.
that's the subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind wants it handles all the processes in the body and it wants
Yep.
to make life easy for you. And that's what causes it. But I think one of the things from a paramedic standpoint, and I had somebody say this to me one time in one of the seedier neighborhoods of the coverage area. A guy walked up to me, he goes, "You look scared." I said, "Man, I'm really not scared." He goes, "Well, you guys don't have to worry because we're going to protect you because you are the guys who are coming to save us when we shoot each other."
I
And
got
I
you.
got to tell you, though, I mean, that mentality caused me to have a little bit of complacency.
Yeah.
It settled me a little bit to say, well, that makes sense. But you know what? Then I was on a scene one time and it was going south relatively quickly. And there was a lot of screaming and a lot of finger pointing. And I don't think I was going to be very safe if things broke down. So,
Yeah.
but interesting though. Number two is relaxed awareness. This is the second level. Relaxed awareness is like defensive
It's
driving. This is a mental state which one is relaxed, but we're also watching to see what's going on. We're watching the other drivers that are around us, and we're kind of keeping ourselves in a position that we're not heightened, but we are paying attention to what may be going on around us. And
yeah.
one of the things that we have to be able to think about is I think that this is where we need to be on every single call. Rather than being tuned out, we have to have some relaxed
Yeah.
and be aware of our surroundings. And we have to know what's happening and then what could potentially happen if we kind of move forward. Back in the old days, I was working for an ambulance company and we were doing Cevo, and they wanted us to voice while we were driving all the things that were happening around us that could cause a potential problem.
Yeah.
And so that was that relaxed situational awareness to where, well, there's a bird, he can poop on the windshield and then he's going to skew and you're like, well, let's not get crazy now. Well, really, could it be? But relaxed awareness, what do you give them?
I I I think this is the sweet spot for situational awareness. This is something that's fairly easy to maintain. It's not mentally or physically draining on you. It's a condition and a habit that can be taught, as Carly pointed out in her column. Nancy, I'm in this condition all the time. I try to be a trained observer and I try to practice those skills. We'll be driving somewhere And I'll say, dear, oh, check out the dogs. Oh, look at the ducks. And she'll ask me, how do you notice these things? And I've always called it hunter's eyes, that, you always have your scan going. And when something looks out of place, or there is motion that differs from everything else, you zero in on it. But otherwise, you just, as you say, you keep your head on a swivel, you keep your scan going, and you keep tracking all the motion around you. At Acadian Ambulance, they taught us the same thing with our visual scan while we're driving. Look at the far zone, look at the near zone, look at the middle zone, check your mirrors, and keep going through that scan methodically so that you're never taken by surprise. But you can stay in condition yellow indefinitely, and it doesn't that heightened or that relaxed alertness, and it works for you, and you will rarely be taken by surprise, yet you're not stressed out.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that I want to point out is we are talking a lot about driving, and Cooper's Colors was really developed for driving awareness, right? But what we're trying to do is we want to be able to put this into the context of use it anytime. So if you're familiar with it,
Well, his was the combat mindset. It's
right,
about specific threats to you where you might have to use a firearm, but it's applicable, as you pointed out, in every
right,
aspect of
situation.
what we
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead, Kelly. Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back on the other side, and we'll talk about focused awareness.
Designed and founded by EMS professionals, LogRx provides real-time accountability of all your narcotics from cradle to grave. Reach out today for a demo and download the app on the iTunes and Google Play stores. And coming soon, LogRx will also track your medical supplies, equipment, PPE, and even vehicle checks. For more information, visit logrx.com. That's LOGRX.com.
All right, we're back with you. We're talking about how to practice situational awareness, and we're talking about Cooper's Colors, the level of awareness. We covered tuned out, we covered relaxed awareness, and number three is focused awareness, Kelly. This is where we are really kind of paying attention to what's going on, and that we're uncomfortable. We know that we've got to be vigilant. We're focused on what's going on around us, and this may bring a little bit of stress in this condition, but focus awareness is something that you're paying attention to every little thing that happens, and you're kind of predicting, or you're kind of figuring, or you're kind of making a plan for how to deal with it. James Mathis, Mad Dog Mattis, has a great quote, and I'll paraphrase
Be
it.
nice, be polite, have a plan to kill everyone you
But
meet.
have a plan to
That's
kill everyone
right.
you meet.
I
Or
love that guy.
what does it, have a plan to kill everyone in the room, maybe.
Yeah.
But this is focused awareness, right? So, you're smiling, but you are paying attention to every
That's right.
single piece of stimulus that you can for your own safety, for the safety of your crew, for the safety of your patients. And go ahead and riff a little bit on focused awareness.
Yeah. Well, Cooper, the thing that distinguishes condition orange, focused awareness versus relaxed awareness, condition yellow, is that in orange, you have identified a specific threat or a specific thing that warrants your attention, and you focus on that particular thing. And that could be someone, you're driving around and you're in that condition yellow state, and you look up and you see someone who's driving a little recklessly, or he's speeding, or he's weaving a little bit, and you kind of keep that guy in your scan, and maintain awareness of that person, or whatever other situation you're in, be it driving or non-driving. In condition orange, you impose a set of mental triggers that you will enact, and you start to make a plan for how you're going to react if whatever the situation that you anticipate being in escalates to a higher condition. If X happens, do Y. If this person makes the threat, or if this person attempts physical action toward me, I will do this thing. If he draws a gun, I'm going to be ready to shoot him, whatever the case may be. So you start to make a plan on what actions will dictate your next response, and you try to keep your options open, but you're specifically focused on a specific threat, and trying to come up with a solution set to deal with that particular threat. It's that OODA loop that we talk about. You're observant, you're oriented. Now it's time to make a decision and what will that decision be if the time comes?
Yeah. And one of the things I was thinking about, when have I ever been in this situation? And I was always a paramedic. And I think even more than being a paramedic, always in relaxed awareness, right? Is I don't want to become a victim, and I want to be able to make sure that I take care of myself in any situation, take care of the people I'm with in any situation. And I do a lot of things, I'll move, the ladies to the inside, or I'll have them walk in front of me so I could see what's going on, and, those types of things. But there was one time on a call where I was in a state of relaxed awareness, and a family member came by and actually lifted his shirt and put his shirt on the inside of his concealed carry weapon. And I thought automatically, why the heck did he just do that? And now I'm running the scenarios in my head to say, is he going to pull that
Yeah.
thing? So it really kind of moves you very, very quickly from relaxed awareness to that focused awareness. So number 4 is high alert. This is the 4th level, high alert. It's generally, this is where we start to get into that adrenaline rush. That's where our eyes will start to dilate. That's where our breathing will change. That's where we're really in a situation that maybe we can even say is a bit scary, Kelly, and that we need to be
Yeah.
able to make certain that we probably do something other than stand there and wait, which will go into our 5th level of
Yeah.
situational awareness. But we got to be able probably to beat feet. I mean, this truly
Mm-hmm.
now becomes the fight or flight situation that we have
Yeah.
to be able to make a determination of, get out of there, or are we going to defend ourselves? I will tell you, as an EMS leader, the answer is never to defend. The answer is always to run. Defense should be your last, offense and defense should be your last call for action. It's always get out, leave the equipment, leave the monitor, leave the drugs, leave your partner. Don't leave your partner. Make sure you grab and push him out the door first. But this is the fight or flight that we should be
Yeah.
able to pay attention to. And this is serious.
Yeah. Defense is something you do. If it comes to physical blows and physical action, that's what you do to enable you to escape. That's that you're not going to engage in a fight with someone. First of all, the best way to win a fight is not be in one. And it's hard to defend legally if there was an avenue of escape. So that's the whole purpose of that. I found it interesting that you were talking about seeing the guy who lifted his shirt up and exposed his firearm. Anybody who's carrying a firearm in their waistband, that is automatically sketchy to me. Get a holster for the thing, you rookie. But there's an excellent class that many firearms trainers use this. But there was a defensive trainer and a Second Amendment trainer named Dr. William April that talked about managing unknown contacts and how to spot victim, what they call grooming behavior, where they're pre-attack indicators. And one of the things that you really look for, as a patient, the subject's looking around and scanning around, and he's looking for other threats, or is there anybody watching, and that sort of thing. But this picking around at your belt line, at the hem of your shirt and everything is a big unconscious telltale thing that tells you that someone is preparing for violence or maybe preparing for violence. And that kind of puts you really focused on condition orange and about to be in condition red if they're keep up this grooming behavior, if they get any closer. With the condition red, you know, there's an immediate danger, there's an immediate threat. We have to do something about it. That something does not necessarily mean we have to shoot or we have to engage in violence or we have to run, but your mental trigger has already been tripped. You have said, okay, in condition orange, you impose that set of mental triggers. Okay, if he does this thing, I'm going to do this in reply. And now that mental trigger has been tripped. Now, you still have options at that point. You can back away. You can say, hey, stop if you're, or draw your weapon if that were the case, if you're carrying a weapon, but you don't necessarily have to fire it. That may be one of those things, but you still keeping your options open. And we hope that you don't ever get into, say, condition black, where you cannot respond or you are actually engaging in deadly force with someone. But that's the end of the thing. And as Cooper pointed out, and as our columnist pointed out, you don't ever want to be on either end of the scale. Never want to be blissfully unaware. I never want to be on the far end where you're so deep into the that you have overreacted. There's a nice middle ground to be, and that was probably condition yellow for most of us, and it's something you can learn to do.
And I think the fifth one you kind of talked about is level black. That's
Yeah,
comatose. It's where you actually freeze. You literally freeze. And you have to be able now to move yourself. And the best way to do that is really to yell at yourself out loud. So you may be saying in your head, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. One of the things that you want to do is actually yell, move, get out of here, run, or whatever it is. I've been in this situation one time where I didn't know what to do. And it's not like you watch on TV. I actually watched a cop shoot an attacker, and I was walking and I was heading towards where they were because they ran to a further part. So I was actually running there, and I I actually heard the gunshots after, and then I just stopped and didn't know what to do.
yeah,
And I know that I probably needed to go to the patient's side. He shot her once in the chest, once in the upper abdomen, but I couldn't move, Kelly.
yeah,
And my brain, it took seconds for me to start to process the information. And I didn't know if it was a threat. I didn't know, but I was scared and I didn't know, even though the cops are good guys, right? I was still scared and
hmm,
I was literally stuck in my frozen in my spot. And I kind of talked to the cop after that, and he's the one who told me that when you get in that situation, you almost have to yell at yourself out loud to say move
yeah,
because you can plant yourself there
yeah.
and grow roots very, very quickly.
Have you ever seen the tactical Dalai Lama
No.
memes? You know, it's got a picture of the Dalai Lama giving some lecture or making some point to someone, and they put the caption. It's like, you know, when crap goes down, get off the axe and use your appointment your opponent's confusion to skin that smoke wagon and make it rain. You know? That sort of thing. But movement is life. If you're being attacked, if you can get away in EMS, get away and move, get out of that scene. Freezing will get you killed, and freezing will kill your patient if you're in that type of situation. Keep thinking. Keep thinking. You always have an out. Sometimes you have to remind yourself of that. And the best way to never find yourself in condition black is do the mental preparation that if this happens, I'm going to do the next thing. So you know what your movements are practiced, and nothing takes you by surprise. But those are the conditions of situational awareness, and they are things that a great many of us, myself included, sometimes. So you know you can't always be in a heightened alert situation, but all too often, the average citizen will wander blithely around in condition white, blissfully unaware. And don't be one of those people who can be victimized because you're unaware of your surroundings. Practice situational awareness, take care of yourself, take care of your partner and your patients. And thanks for tuning in Inside EMS. We're going to catch you guys next week.